Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I am your host, Derek Stewart, along with my co-host, Najee, today. It is a Monday, July 7th, and I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, a 4th of July weekend. Basically, 4th of July was on Friday. I got off to a good start on Friday, and, Najee got off to a good start on Friday. Isaah is away on assignment right now, so he will be back with us very soon. So, we miss him, but he has an assignment, so we wanted to cover that. Today, we will be covering quite a few subjects. First subject, technically, we'll be covering Omar Khan, who's a Pittsburgh Steelers general manager. He just signed an extended contract. We'll cover Damian Lillard in the NBA. It looks like he's not going to be moving forward with Milwaukee. And we're going to be covering some other NFL news as well. One thing I'd like to say is we appreciate you, the viewer. I mean, we have really made some massive strides since the last week or so, where we went over 1,000 subscribers. So, Najee, can I get a round of applause for the 1,000 subscribers? I am so.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about too, because we were coming along, but it just like it's exploded, and we're ecstatic about it because we love what we're doing here. We do this thing every week, and we're going to be doing it 2 to 3 times a week moving forward. And we feel like the viewers like what we're bringing to the viewers. So, I mean, I'm ecstatic about it. Najee's ecstatic about it. Isaah is ecstatic about it. We reached 170,000 views over the last 60 days. So that's pretty good. That's a big accomplishment for us. We've been just striving to be the best we can be. I mean, that's all we can be. We can be the best we can be. We hope you're the best you can be as a viewer. And we want to bring the noise. We bring in the heat, and we're jumping off. And Najee, I want to ask you, how was your 4th of July? And how was your weekend just overall?
Oh, it was tiring, man. I worked the entire weekend, so I didn't really get to do anything outside of. I don't really celebrate 4th of July like that anyway. But if anything, just work, bro. That's really all I did. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely me. I was busy. I was, taking care of some business, in certain areas. I met some really interesting people over the weekend. During my journey, pretty much on a daily basis. And I want to send a shout out to Kyle, who's from Connecticut. He goes to University of Connecticut. I met him yesterday. He's visiting Los Angeles basically to go to Disneyland, which is his first time coming to Disneyland. He's been to Disney World multiple times. Me and him chatted for probably 30 minutes, and we chatted about a little bit of everything: basketball, football. The guy knows his stuff, man. He's no joke. So Kyle, hopefully you're watching. If you're not, got to give mad shouts to you. We hope you enjoy your time here in Los Angeles. I know you're going to be here for a limited amount of time. So anyway, if you need to reach out to me, we appreciate your subscription because you subscribe to us. Thank you for that. And I met some other people as well. So, to get off the ground here, Najee, where the party at?
It's right here. The party is right here, big dog. Right here.
The party is right here, and we here to stay, and we technically ain't going nowhere. So, let's get off to this first topic, and let's talk a little bit about NBA, because I'm going to revert back to NBA. NBA is still a massive sport for professional sports. I mean, even though they say over the years NBA has lost some of its mojo in terms of viewership and things of that sort, I don't think they've lost much, because they've actually expanded their brand. They brought their brand to the forefront of carrying it overseas, which is something the NFL hadn't been able to technically do like the NBA. The NFL has been able to parlay itself in certain markets like England, and they play in Germany, and they play in Mexico and things of that sort. But the NBA is pretty much a worldwide sport. I mean, technically, with people following the NBA, it's huge in China, it's huge in France, it's huge in the European Union, it's pretty much huge in South America. So these players are known around the world, as opposed to NFL. It's still got a lot of work to do to catch up. So, Najee, I want to talk a little bit about Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard, he was a superstar to me at Portland. I mean, he's a quick, fast guard. I mean, he's a deadly shooter. And it came to a point where he wanted out of Portland. I was assuming that he was going to end up in Miami, but he ended up in Milwaukee along with Giannis.
Milwaukee.
But however, that Milwaukee Bucks project did not work out for Damian Lillard. It looks as though, according to, some of the news feeds that I've actually read over the last few days, that he's not going to be with the Bucks. There was rumors swirling that they were going to waive him and he would be picked up as a free agent. First of all, tell me a little bit about what you think about that trade from Portland to Milwaukee, and from the time that he was in Milwaukee, from the time that he's going to probably transition to another team. Because Damian Lillard, he was injured, so you can't blame it all on him. But I guess the formula just wasn't right. Am I correct?
Well, between what they have, you have injuries between not only him, but you had with Chris Middleton when Middleton was on the team. So they didn't really have that much time to gel. Even when they was trying to gel, guess what? They switched their coaches too. So you're hindering the process of anything ever happening. Now, me personally, if you actually watch their games, I don't think they was the best pair anyway, because Damian Lillard, anytime he got off on the court, Giannis was probably hurt or didn't play. So that shows you right there that he cannot really co-sign with him on the court, because I guess the way how Giannis play his game, so he can't really get a rhythm in the game. So, well, when he tore his Achilles, I already knew immediately that he was going to be in trouble when it comes to him staying on the team, because they was already saying that they just really couldn't, pair up and really have that type of cohesive on that court. So they was like, you know what? He's struggling, man, because they really can't do anything with him. That's why they had other players. They had like Trent Gary Trent Jr. That's why he was more of a spot-up shooter. I don't know if Damian Lillard can really be a spot-up shooter. He has to have the ball in his head and be able to create his own offense in order for him to get off the way he wants to. Then when he tore his Achilles, I said, oh, man, they for to waive him. And I called that too, because I was like, he for to get waived, because now Giannis is already over 30. But the last thing they want to do is waste his time, because Giannis, after that one win, every year he feels it's a freaking disappointment now. He wants to continue winning. You can't continue winning with somebody hurt, and now he's gonna be out for an entire season. Damian Lillard's already 34? Yeah, That's the last thing he need to do is tear his Achilles. So now he's a small guard, because he's only 6'2", and he just tore one of his biggest ligaments in his leg. I mean, we already know when it comes to tear your Achilles that you lose a lot of your athleticism already. So guess what? Now he's older and he's hurt. At least if he was like Klay Thompson, when he's just really more of just a spot shooter, and then he can just go ahead and just go around the floor if he wants to, that'd be cool. But Damian Lillard, he goes a little bit over his speed. He has a mean crossover. He can't. Of course, like I said, he has to get his own rhythm and his own shot available. Now he's out. So now what he's gonna do? Nobody wants a hurt aging
player, right?
Where he's gonna go? He's already undersized. Damian Lillard is not a defensive player. The only thing he is a scorer. He's okay when it comes to facilitating, but that's it. Now he's an older player. He has to miss the entire season. When you tear your Achilles, you have to miss an entire season, or at least a full year whenever you got hurt. Guess what? He got hurt in the playoffs, so he's going to miss the entire next season. So he's not going to play again until he's going on to 36, 37 years old. Right there, that's already uncharted territory when it comes to any sport, honestly, but basketball. When you undersized and when you're aging. Chris Paul, you see how much Chris Paul don't even play that much. And if he does, he what he does, he's really actually facilitating the whole time because he's always been a floor general anyway. He's never been a top dog when it comes to scoring. He can score just like anybody in the NBA, but he was never a give me 25 to 30 type of player day in and day out.
Well, I think you're right, and you hit a lot of fine points, Najee, on that because it looks as though, in my estimate of things, I never thought Adrian Griffin should have been let go. Now that's my opinion, and a lot of pundits will say, "Look, I mean, him and Giannis didn't hit it off. I mean, you had that incident on live TV." Where he wanted Giannis actually to come out of the game, and I guess Giannis didn't want to come out. And that friction, I think, maybe caused somewhat of a rift between the two. Adrian Griffin was a no-nonsense coach. Adrian Griffin was a good player when he played, but he was definitely a no-nonsense coach. He wanted to hold people accountable. Giannis was an exception, was not an exception of him not holding him accountable as well. And, when you get into it with a star player, it's only a matter of time that you're on the clock. And technically, if the star player goes to management and he complains, look, this guy I can't work with. I just can't work with him. I can't coach. I cannot play under him. That happened with Paul Westhead with Magic back in the 80s. I mean, Paul Westhead basically got fired because, I guess when Magic came in out of Michigan
Who they gonna
State,
take, the franchise player, or they gonna take this new coach?
Either you go exactly. If you're an owner and you got a franchise player and he steps to you and basically say, "Look, it's either me or him." I mean, they don't say that specifically, but in other words, I'm having issues taking direction from this person. So once a relationship gets damaged somewhat of the sort that Adrian Griffin and Giannis' relationship got damaged, it's really hard to really patch that up in a lot of ways because you're looking at egos. You're looking at Giannis's ego, which is massive, just like any other star player in professional sports. You're looking at Adrian Griffin's perspective of it, being a coach and being assertive. Look, I'm the field general here. You basically need to follow me or else type of thing. And I'm not saying Adrian Griffin is like that. But that's first and foremost. So they bring in Doc Rivers. Once Doc Rivers comes in, look, Doc Rivers is a damn good coach. Doc Rivers has been in the NBA for probably 40 plus years, at least. I remember when Doc Rivers was playing for the Atlanta Hawks when I was in high school. He was a guard for the Atlanta Hawks at the time. When they had Tree Rollins and, they had Dominique Wilkins come in thereafter. So they bring in Doc Rivers. It didn't go as well for the rest of the season as planned once they let Griffin go. And Griffin had a winning record. So Najee, tell me, how could still even the management square a coach with a winning record and was getting results compared to him and Giannis's fallout? How do you compare that?
Well, it shows that they wasn't really completely bought in on him. So if they were, they would have been a little bit more patient with him. That's what it really is. But they probably settle for him and say, okay, this is how it's gonna go, and etc. But then when Giannis said something, they was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, big dog, you have to get out of here because Doc Rivers probably was already on their list. So when he became available, Doc Rivers tried to play it off a little bit too, saying that I don't even know why I'm here. Like, what coach? Who's gonna say that of job that they gonna take? Well, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know why they took me. I don't even know why they did that. No, he's getting paid millions of dollars. I'm gonna shut up, bro. But the thing is, he tried to lighten the blow, if just in case they do not succeed in anything they want. And really, what it is just a championship, especially when you only won one, and then when you have a high powered player or players, and then you have a high salary cap that's just flowing. That's all they expect is championships. Giannis already got one, so guess what? We expect the championship. LeBron got one in 2020. And guess what? That's all they talk. It's the Lakers too. So every year they expect the championship. But you got LeBron and it's the Lakers. And guess what? They always expect the championship. He's already making over 50 million per year, and now you got Luka that's making probably close to that. So I mean, when it comes to if it comes to the top tier players, this is the only thing they talk about is winning championships. That's why I don't like how they talk about this championship, how they belittling championships now. They were talking about when it comes to individual stats. I don't know when ever have we talked about individual stats. We used to say those players are stingy, greedy players that they never going to succeed and win a championship. And all of a sudden, championships are being belittled because guess what? Certain players are not getting it. That's why. Even with all these teams they're all gelling and trying to team up on other teams so to make sure you don't get it. Like, I mean, come on now. You mean the type of help that LeBron has gotten and just the Lakers alone? Kobe have never had that much consistent talent around him like that. He never had no AD and then have Luka. Like who's blessed to have that much type of talent on the team?
That's true.
And that's not even including when we talk about Dwight Howard and Melo and then Rondo and then JaVale McGee. I mean, bro, this man has had a crazy amount of star power on the team. Russell Westbrook, man, I'm like, this is crazy, man.
Yeah,
ain't no way.
It is.
Just the names alone is crazy.
Just the names alone, and the thing is, Adrian Griffin was there, but to me, they should have never let Mike Budenholzer go. I mean, I think there was kind of a lull between the time that he won that championship in 2021, but shit, he was NBA Coach of the Year in 2019, and then you win a championship in 2021, and then a short time thereafter, they can you. I don't get the logic behind how a lot of strategy comes into play from NBA owners or even any professional franchise owner. How do you square when a guy has been that successful and you let him go, then you bring in Adrian Griffin, which to me, he was a pretty good addition to that franchise, and then they turn around and let him go as well. You just keep, to me, it's destabilizing to any kind of franchise that you have in sports. You have to have, I think, continuity in a lot of ways to the level where you can't be changing coaches every few years if you plan on winning. I mean,
these franchises showing us is no loyalty going on right now.
There is
Dwayne
no
Casey, that was
in the world.
When Dwayne Casey, that was the coach for the Toronto Raptors a few years ago.
Yeah,
he had just won Coach of the Year and got fired.
I remember Dwayne Casey. Yes,
Vogel, when he won the championship in 2020 with the Lakers, he got fired not too long after that. You just saying Budenholzer that won a championship, got fired not too long after that. The Nuggets just won it 2 years ago. Guess
Mike
what they
Malone.
did? They got rid of their coach. Well, 3 years ago now. But so guess what? They got rid of their coach. Bro, you have to consistently win championships at this point, man. Because guess what? The only person that's not getting fired is Eric Spoelstra right now. Because he's Pat Riley Jr.
Eric
Spoelstra, Jr.
He's not going anywhere because Eric Spoelstra is so deeply embedded in the Miami Heat organization. He could probably have 3 or 4 seasons in a row where they be under 500 and they still wouldn't let him go because, first of all, Pat Riley knew Eric Spoelstra's father, John Spoelstra, who was a general manager at Portland. So it's a family type of affair with Eric Spoelstra when it comes. He's an exception, though. He's an exception to most franchises on how they deal with coaches, and how they deal with dealing players off. So let me ask you a question. We'll revert back to Damian Lillard. Where do you think would be a good landing spot for him when he does get back healthy?
Oh man,
Miami. He might end up back. I mean, that's where he wanted to initially go anyway, right? There was a lot of rumors about.
Yeah, but it was desirable at the time when he was 2-3 years younger, and then that's when he was also healthy. But if you're talking about the teams that's probably available for him that would like to have aging shooter, I mean, the Heat, You got maybe because he's never been a winner. He hasn't won any. If you look at his list of things, he's not a winner. Like he has not won anything. And when you talk about where he was going against the Golden State Warriors, that was the best time for him to even do something when they had Durant on the Warriors, but Durant was hurt when he strained his calf before he went to the finals and tore his Achilles. So when we talking about the teams that he's going to possibly go to, is probably the Heat. Who else? They was talking about the Lakers. I mean, it could be the Lakers too. It really can be the Lakers because you already have two playmakers, so you don't have to worry about him facilitating. He is the type of attention that Luka and LeBron brings, and he can be wide open. And he can be entirely wide open to the net side. And you already got two players that's good enough to double team both of them, and he can be wide open. He can just go through screens just like how Curry does, and he can be wide open and hit threes. The Warriors, no, that's too small of a backcourt. So at least the Heat and the Lakers for sure, though. The Heat and the Lakers for sure.
Okay, so those are good choices probably for him too, because both teams are in major markets. He'll get a lot of exposure on his quest back to get to the form that he was in before he got injured. Because, like I say, he was a lights out shooter when he was at Portland. I mean, they call him Dame Dollar. I mean, he was the guy. I mean, with Portland, he's just in such a small market because Portland is a really small market. So they don't get a lot of airtime on TV like these other teams, these major markets like New York.
You gotta make it. You gotta make it a big team because guess what?
A good point.
Because OKC is not a big market.
That's true.
Pacers not a big market, and they was literally went to game 7. It could have went either way that way. You gotta make it. You gotta make it that way. Because you gotta realize since Adam Silver been in, some of these small markets have actually been successful. The Denver Nuggets is not a huge market.
That's a small market. That's not a big market at all.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So hey, if you can make it happen, make it happen. The only thing is, me personally, I ain't gonna say that he had the best talent over there though, also. But he had legitimate opportunities to do it.
Yeah. And you're right, man. Whenever a small market catches fire and they start winning, then they start selling out games. That's when the media starts to tend to become more interested in a team because it's gaining all the attention. I mean, it's the social media conversations about some of these players and some of these teams. And if you don't have a supporting cast around you in any sports franchise, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, whatever it is, if you don't have a good supporting cast, it's going to be hard for one player to do it. Isaiah was spot on when he spoke about, it technically takes at least 2 stars, sometimes 2 to 3 stars, but then that don't always gel together. But somebody steps up to the plate when somebody's down. If somebody's having a flat game, somebody always tends to step up to the plate. That's how the Lakers were in the 80s with Byron Scott and James Worthy and Michael Cooper, Michael Thompson, which is Klay Thompson's father. Them guys stepped up to the plate. Kurt Rambis, I'll give Kurt Rambis a lot of credit. Kurt Rambis was a mop-up guy. He was a cleanup guy. He came in, he got the rebounds, and he got into that fast break run with them, and, he made a difference. So to have players that can even come off the bench and make a massive difference, man, it means a lot to any kind of sports franchise. A lot of times fate too takes care of some things as well. Basically how you put together a team and how you organize a squad and how well you coach them and how well they take direction to your coaching and teaching, that matters too, because sometimes it takes a while. Look how long it took Oklahoma Cities to do it, but they did it because, they had Shea, and then they got the right kind of players around Shea, and next thing you know, boom, they hoisting up a trophy, So I think Damian Lillard would be good in both markets, like you said, to go to either the Lakers or the Miami Heat, because he would gain a lot of traction in that market, especially if he heals up like he should, which I suspect he will.
Hmm.
It's just going to be huge. But it could be a dark horse come in just out of nowhere and negotiate with him and pick him up. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Let's move on
But
to the next
the
topic.
best thing, but hang on, the one more thing.
Uh-huh.
The best thing that works for him. He can, for example, he can even go to OKC. Just for example, he do not have to get a good contract because guess what? The Milwaukee Bucks, they got to pay him the next 5 years.
I know. I was reading
They
that.
get the next 5 years
He's
over
locked
almost
in.
130, almost 100. He's gonna make an average what like 22 to 23 million for the next 5 years. He can play for the bare freaking minimum on any team that's like literally on the verge of winning a championship, and
Yeah.
he will be okay. He can go to the Houston Rockets if he wants to. He can go to Cleveland if he wants to. He can go to the Celtics if he wants to, and they can give him the veterans minimum, and he will be okay because he's that contract he got waived on is guaranteed. He's going to get every cent of that. So he
Yeah.
don't even have to worry about going to a certain franchise and say, "Oh, I'm not playing for nothing less than 100 million or whatever." No,
Hmm.
bro, you can make 4, 5, 6 million because guess what? You still unless you're making more being waived and going to another team than just staying with the Bucks because now you're getting two contracts in your hands.
That's true. And, it happened in the NFL like that with Russell Wilson. I mean, with Denver, Denver gave Russell Wilson this
Hmm.
massive guaranteed contract. And he came in, and I guess he didn't quite work out is what their expectations were. And when
Hmm.
Sean Payton came in and just flat out didn't like him. I'm gonna just say this too. Sean Payton didn't care for Russell Wilson when he got there. I mean, I guess he figured that Russell Wilson was getting too much. I mean, he was just too
He
comfortable and
was
he was
he was
getting too
looking
many perks.
Yeah, he was looking like a celebrity versus a football player. That's what he looked
Exactly,
like he
because
was.
Russell Wilson had his own office, he had his own quarterbacks coach, and the guy would be at practices and stuff, and that ticked Sean Payton off. I'm pretty sure when he came in, so that only added to to his dislike of Russell Wilson. So when Russell Wilson bailed to Pittsburgh, Denver had to pay his salary. Pittsburgh didn't have to take on no whole bunch of massive salary cap issues because of Russell Wilson. And that's when they pawned him off too. And now he's with the New York Giants. And Russell Wilson is going to be getting paid from Denver for the next 5 or 6 years, as far as I know. I mean, because they got to fulfill that contract no matter how they try to shape it.
Yeah,
A contract is a contract. When you sign it, it's in writing. I know a lot of times they try to back out and say this person did this, but they don't have anything that they can pin on Russell Wilson. So he's definitely set. So that is a good, valid point you made about Damian Lillard. So actually, the ball is in Damian Lillard's court. Look, I'll go away. I mean, I could go negotiate with anybody I want, depending on the market that I want to play in. I'm not going to ask for a lot.
I ain't gonna lie. The different Nuggets will be good too.
Oh, for
The
sure.
different Nuggets
For sure. For
because
sure.
Jokic need another shooter. That would be a good
Yes.
part.
Yes, he would be a superb fit for Denver, I think, And the bottom line is, man, it all boils down to how the organization handles its business. If you're a shitty organization, you ain't going to handle your business. If you're a good organization, you're going to come around, you're going to regroup. You might be down on your luck as an organization. The Houston Texans was like that. They were supposedly one of the worst franchises in football. Nobody wanted, I mean, there was sports pundits saying, look, don't go to Houston. Don't play in Houston for the Texans. And now the owner, he hired D'Amico Ryan. So I mean, technically that changed their fate and that changed their tide, and that made a difference because look at Houston now with CJ Stroud and all of these other players that they done brought in there. Look, shit, they play off bound to me as far as I'm concerned, So we'll definitely keep an eye on Damian Lillard. Let's talk a little bit about Mike Brown. Mike Brown getting hired by the New York Knicks. First of all,
Knicks.
do you think that was a good hire? And do you think Mike Brown will survive 2 years there? I'm giving him 2 years.
He probably can do it. I think that's going to really rely on their health probably because you know what he's just like your boy that just got fired, Tom Thibodeau. He's more of a defensive coach than when it comes to an offense. So that might be an issue if they don't play better defense because if the coach that's coaching you specialize in one particular side of the ball and you don't do that, you kind of like not having a reason for him to actually be there. Like if he was an offensive coach, then it would be a lot better because the defense already an Achilles heel. They already suck on that side of the ball. But at
Right.
least if their offense needed a little bit more of a flow and an efficient way of scoring, then they would be better. Like if they had Steve Kerr and he can actually advance their offense a little bit more than what they're doing, then it'd be cool. But the thing is, they already suck on defense. They suck. Jalen Bronson, he sucks on defense. He sucks on defense. They go at him just like they do Luka. Because if they need somebody to score, just go ahead and put them on them. Because guess what? They're going to score. Because it's not like Bronson is like undersized. Because you had Patrick Beverly that was shorter than him. He was a better defender. But the thing is, Jalen Bronson do not play defense. He does not. And Cat is not really that's not his strong suit either. Your two best players that you need on the court all the time to score, and they're your best scorers, can't play defense. That's the worst thing to have, bro. Because you are the best thing to happen to us, and also the worst.
That's true.
So it really boils down if they can play better defense, bro. That's really what it is. And guess what? There's nothing else. He can't go nothing but the third round and over. The third round and the finals. That's the only thing he can do. He cannot be anything under than that. He cannot be. He can't go second round. He can't be first round. He can't be playing. He has to be at least third round.
Yes. And that's a good point. My whole take on,
especially with the type of players that's hurt now. Especially the type of players that's hurt for next season. Tyrese Halliburton's out. Of course, Damian Lillard, he could be out of the conference, even though he's not going to be out. He's going to be out for the whole season, though. The type of players that's Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's going to be out there in the entire next season. So guess what? This will be the year that anybody just going to be penalized. If you have championship expectations next season in the East and you don't make it even close, you're getting fired or they're getting traded. Because this is the biggest window you're going to have right now.
You know what? I didn't even think in those terms, Najee. You hit it right on point. You on point because I didn't even think in those terms that all of those players from these different teams are injured. So that opens up that window for the Knicks to be able to kind of step into that void because they don't have any massive injuries on their team. And all Mike Brown has to do is take the current team at its current level and actually advance them up a level. And once he can advance, and he's the guy to do it because Mike Brown's a damn good coach. He's one of those Greg Popovich proteges. He coached under Pop. He was an assistant under Pop. So he learned from one of the best in the business. And not only Popovich, but he's coached under a lot of good coaches on different teams. So he's been around. He knows the league. He knows. And I think he can relate with the current state of players in the NBA today as opposed to a lot of other coaches. Mike Brown was able to transition and he knows, which buttons to push, I think, which players that he needs to work more with, which players that he has to work less with or require he work less with. I think he understands that because what he did with Sacramento was to me next to amazing. He took a Sacramento team and he had them playoff bound, which they looked so good to me. I thought that they had a good opportunity to advance deeply into the playoffs with Mike Brown on that coaching staff as far as the head coach.
And then Steph Curry put him back to sleep.
And then Curry put him back to sleep because anytime you got the best shooter on earth, he gonna put you to sleep. He gonna tuck you in. He gonna put you in bed and he gonna read a story to you before he throw them
Yeah, give you
threes
some
up and
warm
put them in
milk.
that basket on you. And that's something that Mike Brown
Yeah.
could control, because whenever you can't control what the other team is imposing with their will, and they got a player like Steph Curry, you can't do nothing with that. But beyond that, I think he did a fantastic, amazing job when he was with Sacramento. I don't think he did such a bad job when he was with the Lakers. I mean, I really don't. I thought he did an okay job when he was with the Lakers,
He did
although,
an okay. He did an
yeah,
okay job. So
he
that shows
did.
you right now. I hope that he can, because if you think about the teams that we just said and thought about the teams that I don't know every team that he's coached, but I do know at least four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, his best teams are the teams that were younger. When he was coaching a younger LeBron, that's when they were winning the 58 to 62, the freaking maybe 65 games, 67 games. That's when he had a young team. When he was with the Lakers, they was a little bit over average. They was a little bit over average. But then when he went to Sacramento, another young team, that's when they were doing really good. So we're gonna see, because I think to me personally, the hardest team to coach is team that has players that set in their ways already when it comes to veterans. Because like LeBron, Luka, certain players have a tier of excellence already, and it's kind of hard to teach that already because a lot of these players know more than a coach.
Right.
Because you
Right.
you mean to tell me I'm top 75, top 10, top 15, top 20 ever, and you're gonna tell me a coach is gonna tell me what to do that probably played basketball and he probably averaged 7 points his career? It's kind of hard for you to listen to a player like that. Now it's now people listen to Jason Kidd because Jason Kidd is all time great. He's at least what top 5, top 6 when it comes to point guards ever, especially when it comes to assists and floor general. It's easy to listen to him because he was already an extension of a coach on the floor. But when you have a coach, when you have a coach that's trying to tell you what to do, and he was a bench player, it's kind of hard to listen to that. You see, if you actually paid attention when the Lakers was being coached by Darvin Ham, I personally seen LeBron roll his eyes plenty of times because he just knew more than Darvin Ham. Even when he had I forgot that coach for Cleveland he had when he scratched when he was playing against the Chicago Bulls, he scratched off what they had on the board for them to I think it was to probably set up something for Kyrie. He scratched off the plans off that board and he made his own final play to get rid of the Bulls. So when I tell
Yeah.
you it's hard to coach players that set in their ways. It really is. If they're not buying in, I don't care if you have a great plan. It can be a great plan. If your players is not buying into what you're saying, you will be out of there.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Especially star players like LeBron and players like that. It's just it's scary because once they lose faith in you, it's only a matter of time before they pretty much, you pretty much get exited out of there. They 06 you out of there. They package you out because you're not getting any results. It's no effect. I mean, the players are not responding to your coaching and to your teaching. One thing about I could say that I thought Mark Jackson would have been a good fit for New York. I mean, Mark Jackson's a New York. He's born and raised in New York. I mean, he went to St.
New
John.
Yorker, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mark
That's when I
Jackson would have
told you
been the coach.
some of these coaches and some of these players are being blackballed. You can't
Yeah,
tell me nobody want him as a coach. He showed what he developed in Golden State
Golden State.
before
Yeah,
Steve Kerr got there. Like he literally put them on a platter and Steve Kerr picked it up and said thank you. That's exactly what he
yeah,
did.
yeah.
He did all the building for him. He did all the building for him. And then he just came, picked the plate, and ate the food, and said, "I did a hell of a job."
Yeah. Well, and to dive back into, you were talking about Cleveland's coach. I think you were talking about Dave Black, right? David Black. Dave Black was the
David
coach,
Black.
and a lot of people say LeBron got him fired. A lot of people said LeBron just basically got him 06 out of there and got him out of there because, I mean, what you explained is every reason why, I think, based on that. I would just say this to Mike Brown. Me talking to Mike Brown personally, don't put any photos up on the wall in your office. Don't make yourself comfortable. Don't put no couch in there. Don't put nothing that's gonna make you too comfortable. Because as long as you working for James Dolan, that could be any day, 365 days a year.
Yeah.
You could get a visit from the GM. Look, we're going in a different direction. I wouldn't if I was Mike Brown, I wouldn't even put nothing in my desk. I wouldn't even put no paperwork or nothing in my desk in that office. Because that office is just not a place that you can set up shop and become comfortable with. Not with the New York Knicks and James Dolan is the owner. I just don't have any faith in James Dolan as an owner of that franchise. One of the most historical, one of the greatest franchises in the NBA, legacy-wise. And he took it over, and I'm not saying he's done a horrible job, but he hadn't done enough to bring in and solidify around the coaching for that continuity to be able to have that team ready to go. So, Mark Jackson may end up getting a chance or a shot anyway. I don't wish no slight on Mike Brown because Mike Brown could go up in there and he could turn it around 110% and make it where, he's not going to get fired. So we'll just find out one way or another, right? With that,
But which does sucks. Let's say they do go to the finals. Rather than win or lose, that's actually an advancement from last season, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, he does get there, and they said they had a successful season because they got better than last year. You can't even fully say they were better than last year because the thing I just mentioned that certain players are injured and out for the season. I mean, even the Pacers with Tyrese Halliburton out, right? They just got rid of Miles Turner. So they're not even going to be what they were last year.
True.
Even so, that's what I'm saying. So if they do go further, I mean, it can really just be the circumstances and not really them being better.
That is true. I mean, it's a circumstantial thing, and
because the Heat not going to be better than they were last year. They not. The only team I can see actually being better than last year. Who?
Yeah. Eric Spoelstra's not going anywhere. Yeah,
he's not going nowhere. The only team I can really actually see him better on the East next season will be Detroit. Detroit is they steady going up. So I mean, Cleveland's gonna still be in the same spot because now nobody's really chasing them. The 76ers ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
So tell me who's really gonna top the Knicks next season, but outside of Cleveland, that's it.
That's it. Sounds like that's it to me for sure. Man, it remains to be seen. I tell you what, So let's move on to the next topic. I want to talk a little bit about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and their impact on the WNBA, both superstar players. They come from different types of style of play. Caitlin Clark, to me, is more of a shooter like Steph Curry. I would go as far as to say Caitlin Clark is one of the best female shooters in basketball for the WNBA. I'll go that far to say that because she has every intangible comparable to Curry when it comes to the court, because there is no spot on that court that she's not familiar with or is not comfortable with. Now, Angel Reese is more of a player where she's playing under the basket in the paint a lot. So she's more of a physical style player that her team is not doing very well right now. And Caitlin Clark's team is on the come up. Let me ask you this. What do those two players need to do to kind of stuff some of the noise down from the media that's trying to make it very conflictual between those two players? Does it make sense that these two players need to probably get together and say, look, we finna carry this league into the next level. just like Bird and Magic did in the 80s. You think that's a possibility that Clark and Reese can get together and do that? Or do you think it's just going to continue down that road where it's going to be
they can continue doing exactly what it is.
It's going to be
they
adversarial.
Go ahead, continue this, because guess what? This world like drama. They like tension. So guess what? If they become friends and be okay, then it takes it not being competitive also. So when you had Detroit and you had the Bulls, guess what? It was just the tension and the physicality, and then also the aura of thinking they're not, they don't like each other. So it brings the attraction towards it. And you be like, oh, I can't wait to see it because they're gonna go at it. That's part what I miss about any sport right now when it comes to teams having that grid to want to polarize the next team versus clapping each other up. How's your mama? Oh yeah, that's you. Okay, bro. All right, now you gonna get 30? I'm gonna get 35. I'm gonna get 35. No, I want to see. I want to see y'all go at each other's neck. Yeah, what y'all do outside of the field or the court, I don't care. Y'all can have fun because I'm pretty sure Bird, Magic, and Jordan, they all did the same thing, or Charles Barkley. But when you on the court, I don't want to see y'all having. I don't want to see y'all being brothers or whatever. I'm not saying y'all to hate each other or to hurt each other, but I want to see the hunger to eliminate, to destroy the next person. That's what I want to see. I want to see you shut the next person down, and I want you to see the other person score at will and be like, you cannot touch me. You cannot. You foul me, man. You nothing. You barbecue chicken, boy. I love that. I love that. But when you clap each other up and be like, oh, you hit a three? All right, I'm gonna get one for you too, boy. No. If anything, let that be the freaking All-Star game or something like that. A regular game, playoffs, or the finals, I want to see hunger and competition. That's what I want to see.
Well, let me rephrase it then, because I don't expect for them to be buddy when they play against each other. I don't expect for them to be, this type of thing where, they both extending an olive branch out to each other. But I just think that there's some opportunity that these two players can kind of put down some of the noise from the media, because I think a lot of it's driven through the media, where the media is trying to concoct this animosity and this adversarial rivalry and keep fanning somewhat of a fire.
They're trying to create a story
bigger.
of it.
It leads to more fights in games. What it does, it turns the rest of the WNBA against Caitlin Clark, because it looks like every particular time that she gets into a game and she starts to play well, which she's always playing well, but a lot of players around the league is watching Reese and Clark. Because it tends to be this thing where these are the two most notable players, I would say, in the league. Aja Wilson and a lot of other players are very notable. They're very popular in the league. But the league hadn't had this kind of fanfare since these two players have been drafted. So that's why I was a little curious, your opinion about, can these players kind of keep it to the level where it's not getting to a point where it's getting toxic? That's the word I'm looking for. If it's toxic, that's when it could be somewhat, not good for the WNBA, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but then you have to. So it really depends on how they conduct themselves. Like, the media can say whatever they want to say. It really depends on how they conduct themselves on the court. They don't have to do it. The media can boost up anything they want to. They can really, because guess what? The players, if you actually listen to some of the, if you actually listen to some of the stuff on the court, like for example with the NBA, they do a lot of cussing, they do a lot of selling out. So it depends. So the media can say whatever they want to say. It's really how the players conduct themselves every day. You can't really blame the media for the players fighting. If the media said that you don't like me, whatever, I never heard you say that. I never heard you say it, but guess what? I'm pretty sure they say it on the court. They cuss each other out. They sell out they say stuff about each other, household members and everything. So the media is not going to control. It's not going to make them fight on the court. that's going to be the players. Like Devin Booker, a lot of people don't know Devin Booker talks a lot of stuff. Like he
Yes,
is
he does.
very blunt when he says on the court. But guess what? The media don't say that, so you don't know that. So when he has all that competition with Luka, whatever, that has nothing to do with the media. That's him. That's him and Luka.
Mm-hmm.
So for the females, it has to do how they conduct themselves, never about the media. So the media, if anything, is helping the brand because guess what? Just like how you're talking about it, how you making the story of it, that brings the attention to the sport and it makes you want to see it. What's going to happen next? How they going to conduct themselves? How competitive this game's going to be? Kane Clark's going to get a 30-point triple double. Oh, freaking Angel Reese is going to get 10 points and freaking 23 rebounds. Guess what? That's bringing up the sport. All the media can help you and they can break you. Guess what? By them saying, "Oh, they don't like each other," that's not going to break them. It's how they conduct themselves on the court and all that's whatever they say on the court. Whoever takes anything serious, and when it comes to that hair pulling, because they doing some hair pulling. I've seen several times they hair pulling. That has nothing to do with the media saying, "Oh, they don't like each other." That's them conduct themselves on the court day in day out.
I totally agree, and I believe in Angel Reese. To me, is a very good player. I think she needs to step up some areas in her game, and I think we had that discussion on a past show where once she steps up her level of play inside the paint, mainly because she's a forward, I think that would alleviate a lot of stuff that's going on. Because I mean, she's effective, but my question to you is she's extremely effective because her team is not doing that well, but that doesn't mean that she's doing anything wrong or not, measuring up. It's just that I think her level of play, once it rises up, the media will definitely change their tune in terms of how she plays. Because I mean, if you think about it, in my opinion,
it's between that and them put more talent on her team because I think that team have a lot of the same type of player she is when it comes to just really hustling and trying to play defense and rebound because they don't have like top scorers on their team. That's why if you ever look at a lot of their the final score of their games, they be low scoring games. They don't have enough talent over there to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So while we're on the subject still of the WNBA, they're talking about expanding some teams to different cities. It looks as though here Cleveland will start to play in 2028. Detroit will field a team in 2029. Philadelphia will field a team in 2030. Portland will begin play in 2026. Toronto will begin play in 2026. And I guess Golden State Valkyries are in their first season already for the women's Golden State. So what do you think about the expansion process in the WNBA? You think they're going in the right direction to get a massive TV contract at some point?
See, that's exactly what we're talking about when it comes to bringing the brand up and the attention. By them doing that, guess what? Now, guess what? You get more teams. If you get more teams, that means guess what? You get more notoriety. You get more people. You get more viewers, and now more fans can go to a game now. Like it's a lot of states that don't have a team, but they really want to go to a game. By them putting another team in another state in another city, just make it that much easier to go to a game. Now, let's say for example, you have a team in freaking Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have no team and they don't have a team in California. Do you really want to go from freaking Sacramento all the way to Vegas to go see a 2.5 hour game? You unless you're like on vacation or like it's a very very special event to go to that you would like to take you and your family or you and your significant other. You're not going there. Like if it's a team in your city and you're not doing anything. And they said, "Oh, you know what? Kane Carter is playing us tonight." You can't do a last minute thing to go to a whole different state.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
So that's actually good. So that's good.
yeah, I think it's a good move
That's
on
good
the
that they're saying
WNBA's
that.
part
Now you
too.
can actually go into and participate and or go in, and actually enjoy.
Yeah, they say Boston is looking at a team as well. It's an investment group from Boston that's looking at a team as well.